Okay, we have with us Kritika Kamra. Hi, Kritika. Welcome to Conversations and welcome to Talk 100.3.
Thank you so much, Ronak. Thank you for having me.
Kritika, we've of course seen you on television. Now we are seeing you in OTT on Z5 Global in Gyarah Gyarah. We've seen you on the big screen. I'm sure आपको बहुत लोग पूछते होंगे, लेकिन आपने बेस्ट ऑफ बोथ द वर्ल्ड्स में बेस्ट ऑफ ऑल थ्री वर्ल्ड्स देख लिए तीनों लोग. How
Lovely.
does life change after every medium work in?
Big change, the big drastic change only happened in the beginning. And that was for me on television. I think when being an outsider, being somebody who's not from Mumbai, not connected to films in any way, the biggest change that happens is when you discover this and when you come to be a part of it. And for me, that happened with my first TV show. So that was the big shift. And after that, it's like it's an ongoing thing. It's like it's got highs, it's got lows. My life is like a movie itself. There are many tracks and many subplots and it's still going on. Picture abhi baki hai, mere dost.
Of course, picture भी बाकी है और बहुत सारी पिक्चरें बाकी है and you know for somebody like you, we would expect you to be giving a lot of interviews, being out there, being out and about, because uh, you've seen the hustles of the TV life. You've been in movies and now you're in OTT. आप क्यों paparazzis में हर जगह आप क्यों नहीं दिखते हो?
You know how that paparazzi world works, don't you?
I know.
You know how it works. It's not a it's a pretty open secret now. I feel like I want to be in talks for my work. I've always wanted to be known as an actor, which shows in my hopefully in my choices. I feel like
Right.
fame is very easy to come by now because of social media and because of the being visible sort of culture. And no offense to that or no disrespect meant at all. It's not for me. I want to be talking about my work. I want to be seen for my work. I don't think there is anything else in my life that needs to be on display.
वो तो I'm sure you very successfully maintain that. But before we get to talk to about Gyara Gyara, which is another very, I would say, a very interesting concept, because I was talking to Raghav also, and we were discussing how crime stories, generally they come with a bang, but they fizzle out because itna sara crime hota hai, khas karke in a big country like India, different kinds of crime happen, and you move on from one story to another. But if you could just tell us a little bit about your struggle part, and how you kind of got to where you are today, and how happy are you with the way your career has shaped?
So two things. I'll first talk about Gyara Gyara. Like you, I have had this. You said you've had this discussion with Raghav, and I'm sure he's also pointed out that there are many crime dramas, and it's a very popular genre. You have many police procedural investigative dramas. But what gives this one the edge is the fantasy element of it, the mystical element of it, the fact that mysteriously, when the clock strikes Gyara Gyara, two walkie-talkies connect and two cops can talk to each other. One is in 1990, the other is in 2016. They are now talking, and that intel is helpful in solving cases that happened 15 years back. So this surreal element gives it an edge because suddenly your tools of investigation change completely and they come at a cost, because when you change something in the past, your present is not going to remain the same. So it's like this really complex web of things which keeps you hooked. It's a binge worthy show. It was a binge worthy script when I read it, for sure. So that's what gives it a uniqueness. As far as my journey is concerned, like I was saying earlier, it's been quite like a movie. I've had my highs, I've had my lows, and it's going on. And I'm constantly trying to reinvent, trying to push the envelope, trying to find something that I've not done before. And those risks have off late been paying off. I'm getting a lot of love for my unconventional choices, which is something that you hope for, because when you make them, they feel like the worst thing to do. They feel like you're, because everybody wants to be safe. You want to be in your comfort zone. You don't want
Yeah.
to keep putting yourself out there and proving yourself again and again. It's just human nature to choose the easy, the comfortable route. So every time I have
Yeah.
to really push myself to not do the conventional, to not be complacent. And off late, it's been paying off, and I'm getting to be part of shows like Gyara Gyara, where I have such a huge canvas and an absolutely brand new role. I'm donning the uniform for the first time. I'm playing a character
Yeah.
that's in both the past and the present timeline. So, lots of responsibility on my shoulder in that sense. Yeah, so
And
no
it's
complaints.
very it's very interesting you said that plans don't work, and in industry like the ones that we are in, there is a lot of guidance that you need. Sometimes you
Yeah.
can get lost. I was talking to Chitrangda Singh the other day, and she said, I said no to Tanu It's Manu, I said no to Murder, I said no to Gangster, all these movies which went to
Really?
yeah, she said it on record, it's there. And I was shocked, and she's like, maybe. I said, why? She said, maybe I didn't have the right guidance. I'm sure you also feel that way sometimes when like, of course, a right script comes along. You don't know at that time whether it's right or wrong. You just follow your gut instinct, like you
Oh,
probably did for Gyara
definitely.
Gyara as well.
I think again, being somebody who's not connected to or related to anybody in films at all, that is a void that you feel. This journey seems very solitary at times. You feel like, and that puts a little bit of pressure on you because you know that every step counts and everything that you can undo something by doing one wrong after
Yeah,
say 50 right steps. So you're constantly very cautious and nobody tells you. And also, I don't think anybody knows. Nobody has the formula. Like, I'm pretty sure if Chitrangada knew that these films would become what they became, she would not let them
she
go.
wouldn't answer.
There's a lot of
Yeah, she
luck
said it.
also at play.
Yeah.
But yes,
So
definitely this is something that I have also missed, in my life. I think that some sort of mentorship, some sort of guidance, maybe early on in my career,
helps. Yeah.
would have really motivated me in the right direction. But nonetheless, this has been my journey, and I at least I can say that I made my own mistakes. I learned from them, and but if I
You own
lost
it.
it, fall on me. If I got something, I've earned it completely by myself. So there's also a certain pride in that.
So what are you expecting out of Gyara Gyara? Like once it drops on Z5 Global on 9th of August, after that, what are you expecting? Like every
I
project has a set of expectations, right?
if I'm being
Or
honest with
don't?
you, I know I don't. I've now somehow, I won't say completely because that will make me sound like I'm some saint, but I've now reached a point
Then,
where I detach myself with the reception a little bit. I'm not
oh,
as anxious or as I'm anyway I'm a realist. I'm a rationalist. So I anyway never have over optimistic expectations from myself or life itself. I tread with caution. So, but because one believes in this show and we worked so hard and the kind of people that are involved in the show, I do want it to reach maximum number of people. I think Z5 Global is going to do that for us. It's going to make us reach Indian audiences or audiences of the subcontinent, Hindi show, film watching audiences across the globe. And that's really the best that can happen to any story. After that, it's the story's fate, it's the story's merit. If it's good enough, it'll travel. If not, we'll move on.
okay. I'll ask one or two more questions, and before they ask me to stop, one is, of course, I was asking Raghav that because you were talking about crime and there's a crime show. Is there any crime story that has touched your heart, the real one that stays with you even now?
Unfortunately, I wish we didn't read so many of these stories in the newspapers and in the news every day. It's actually not you don't want to you don't want to read that, especially I think all violence against women really shakes you up, and I think it's sort of like it happens so much that you kind of start questioning whether you've been desensitized now, or what is even the solution. It makes me, I
Are you
wonder.
sensitive enough? Yeah. No.
Yeah, and what are we doing about it? Is anything even working? But one case that I think shook the country, the conscience of the country, and every single person here was the Nirbhaya case, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
left a huge mark. I think there were many changes, also some positive ones after that in terms of law, in execution of law. But then you again read similar incidences, and it shakes your belief a little bit in the goodness of the world. It shakes your belief in whether the right thing is ever going to happen, because they continue to happen to date every single day.
Yeah, and also if you see, like we say, art imitates the real life and vice versa. If you see any platform, Z5 Global included, you'll see a lot of crime dramas. You'll see a lot of thrillers.
Yeah.
There's not so many love stories and all that. There's always more crime dramas. Do you think that's the reason why? Like, because it's so close to real life and we're so vulnerable. Like, you could be walking on the street and some guy who's just got a Ferrari from his dad, bade baap ki bigdi aulat, might just come and run over you.
I think it's
And that's it.
definitely one of the reasons. I won't say it's the only reason. I think one of the reasons is that, of course, cinema mirrors society and vice versa. And because it happens all around us, these are stories that make way to the screen as well. But at the same time, I also want to say that it's a genre that's really popular because of the intrigue, because solving
Yeah.
a case is like putting a puzzle together. It appeals to a human instinct of problem solving in us, and it immerses us into it. And you feel like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? That hook keeps you going. So I think as a viewer, these stories, because we are always fascinated by the unknown, and the psyche of somebody who's committed a crime will always be some sort of a mystery. It's not something we can easily relate with. And that's what
Yeah.
fascinates us. That's why we keep delving into it again and again.
Okay, my one of my last questions. One, like you were born in Bareilly, and then you did your schooling, you did your FTI as well, fashion technology, and you're a girl next door. Like right from your first show that we saw you, and then you're very relatable. Your face is very relatable. Uh, I'm sure this is not what you always wanted to do. How did you get your first break? Just if I don't ask this to everyone,
Yeah.
I just felt like asking you.
What you're saying, maybe somebody saw this in me, and that's exactly how it happened. I never dreamt. It wasn't a dream. It wasn't a thing growing up. But I was in NIFT, Delhi, and outside my college, somebody came up to me and approached me and said that we're auditioning for a TV show. Would you like to come in for the audition? And I auditioned that. I cracked that audition, and I got a call for my very first screen test, and that's how I got my. So a huge head start, I have to say, because when I came to Mumbai, I realized that there are people who stand in queues for months and months to get this
Yeah,
chance, and I've just gotten it on a
platter.
great day in Delhi, and so I take that very seriously. I don't take that for granted as at all. But I think you find me relatable maybe because I've been around for very long and I've tried to do these characters, and I want my characters to be relatable, because if there is no connect, then it doesn't work. Whether you can be a positive character, negative character, whatever. If there is no relatability, then people will lose interest. And
But you wouldn't have it any other way, right? Like now, when you look back, when you see that Kritika who was pursuing her studies just like any other girl from India, probably eventually ending up getting married and or a working woman in a 9 to 6 job. Yeah, I'm saying when you look back at Kritika, what do you want to say that girl who was in NIFT at that time didn't know what was going to happen?
I was very hard on myself growing up. I'm still very, very critical. I Yeah. And I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just how it is. You can look at it as a strength or a flaw, but it's how it is. And growing up, I was even harder on myself. I wanted to, um, I was a bit of an overachiever as a child. And I was brought up also, you know, being told that you have to be good in studies, you have to be good at everything you do. What that does is it brings the perfectionist out of me in certain ways, and that's good for me. But it does is that I don't forgive myself easily, and I wish I could tell my younger self to be a little easy. It all works
Yeah.
out. It worked out well. I
It
wish
did
I
work
could
out.
go back
As
then.
long as you're happy doing what you're doing right now and being in shows like Gyara
Yeah,
Gyara,
you're happy or you're
and
challenged or you're whatever. As long as you're sleeping well at night, it's all good.
you are, we can tell from your face, it's glowing. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and all the best for Gyara Gyara.
Thank you, Ronak. Thanks a lot.